Good evening everybody. Today I am doing my November wrap up for the films that I watched, so if you're interested in seeing some reviews for some films that I have seen, whether this is the first time I've seen them or a few times, then just stay tuned. So I watched about 6 films in November, and the first one I watched was Hairspray, which is loaned to me by my good friend Chelsea. This was actually the first time I watched it, like, I guess properly, and I actually gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So obviously it's, I can't remember the time that it's set in. It's kind of like a musical adaptation of the original Hairspray film or whatever, and it's kind of, I want to say the 50s or something like that, where black people and white people were segregated, but they were kind of coming into the media, and it was just interesting how topics like that was brought up in such a light-hearted and kind of fun, entertaining way. I actually loved how the racial issues were displayed. It didn't give any offence, it kind of just made you think, oh my gosh, is that how they really thought back in the day? And to an extent some people still think like that now, but I just loved how they pulled it off without any offence, and I just thought it was amazingly executed. The music provided was absolutely amazing. Obviously I just generally knew some of the songs anyway, so they were quite uplifting. I sang along to them, they were quite fun. And although the acting was rather cheesy, I did enjoy the cheese, I suppose, and I enjoyed the cast as well. There was quite a lot of kind of famous people. Well, I guess they're all famous in a way, but you know, more bigger known stars, and yeah, it was just a great film. Definitely check that out. The second film I saw in November was a new one, and that was Crimson Peak, Guillermo del Toro's newest film. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and it's following a young girl called Edith who she actually wants to be an author. Everyone's kind of turning her away, but that's not really the main theme of it, but it does have some, I guess, mirroring themes from the stuff that she's writing about in terms of that comparing with the film as a whole, if that's making any sense. Maybe if you've seen it you kind of know what I mean. But yeah, she gets married and moves to a gothic England with her new husband and his strange sister. So I'll just leave it there. If you want to know any more, I have got a review up on my channel already. I'll link that down below if you'd like to see that. I can't remember if I did spoilers or a spoiler section and a non-spoiler, or if it was just completely spoilers, but nevertheless that's linked down below for you if you want to see my views on that. So then I also went to see Pan in the cinemas. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed that film. Obviously it's another retelling of Peter Pan, but it's the origin of him himself. I loved it. Again, the acting I found a little bit cheesy, but it wasn't too in your face for this kind of film. I kind of felt like it needed that little aspect to it in a way. Just some of the scenes, Blackbeard's in it, and he's played by Hugh Jackman, who you wouldn't have noticed, he looks so different, but just his opening sequence was amazing. I was not expecting it to be so wonderful. Like, oh my god, I'm still thinking about it now, and it is amazing. Please see this film if you haven't, or if not, just type in, like, I don't know, Pan Blackbeard's opening sequence. You will thank me. It was bloody awesome. Everything was just fabulous. The colours on the screen were just so vivid, so lovely. I liked the interaction between characters. One person in particular, James Hook, there was just something about him. His acting was too exaggerated. It was just, he would talk like this, you know? And it was just too much. It was way too much. Like, oh, it wasn't very good. That irritated me, but generally I really enjoyed the film. I loved how it showed the beginnings of Peter Pan and how he came to be in a way. Beautifully done, really wonderful film. Then I saw a film that was brought out this year as well, and I was actually excited to see, but I didn't for some reason see it straight away, and it is The Seventh Son, which is based on the series of The Spook's Apprentice, or The Spook's Curse, or just the Spooks genre in general, by Joseph Delaney. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I said it once and I'll say it again. The main character, Tom, is supposed to be like a 13-year-old boy, and he's played by a 30-year-old actor. I just didn't understand the logic there, but of course they wanted to add a love scene, and that couldn't have been done with children, so yeah, they had to do that. I don't know why that was there. It wasn't needed. It kind of made for a boring, lifeless plot, but that was there anyway. In saying that, I do like how it showed a bit of backstory with, if you've read the book, you'll know some other characters that are kind of given to you in the beginning of the story. I do like how they use that just to explain the situation of being, I guess, a seventh son and what can go wrong and what can go right and what the world's about. So that was definitely excellent for kind of giving you some more information. Showed a few extra point of views that the book didn't, but I think I liked it because it was interesting seeing things from different perspectives. But although I did say it showed what it meant to be a seventh son, it didn't explain what a seventh son was. So going into this film with that as the title, I don't think you'd come out really understanding. Again, if you haven't read the books, you wouldn't really understand what exactly a seventh son is. It didn't explain that too much. It kind of left it out in the open, and I can imagine some people being quite confused. Back to the age thing, I do find, again, it was a bit too sexualised between Alice and obviously Tom. They're kind of not really supposed to be like that. That was weird, and I didn't feel very comfortable. Again, because I've read the book, or I've read a few books in the series, I just kind of, that's not what I wanted. The CGI actually wasn't too bad. It was quite, not believable obviously, but it was quite good to look at. The colours and everything, it worked good with the background. It didn't look choppy or poorly animated. It was quite good. The plot was okay just generally, but of course there were some noticeable differences. For example, the majority of the plot, the added romance, the new characters, and everyone being so respectable to the spook, which in the book, if you guys have read, you know that that's not the case. All in all, I can appreciate this film as a fun family kind of action fantasy film, but as someone who has come from reading some of the books, I just can't appreciate it as being a good kind of, I guess, runner-up. It's not very good when you compare them. I also found that much later issues in the series occurred and were crammed and was rushed all into this first film. I don't know if they're planning to anymore, but I kind of hope they don't, because they've kind of covered quite a lot of issues that have occurred, so it'll be a little bit pointless, a bit confusing unless they go off on a tangent. So yeah, it's inaccuracy just means I can't really appreciate it fully. So I also watched Neverending Story again for like the bazillionth time. It's one of my all-time favourite films. Of course I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. If you guys don't know what Neverending Story is about, it follows a young boy called Bastian, kind of. He needs to escape pretty much from these bullies, and he hides out in an attic in his school, and before that he kind of tries to find sanctuary in this library, and he finds this book entitled The Neverending Story, so he kind of just takes it along with him, and he decides to read it whilst he's hiding out in this attic in his school. It's amazing. Come on, everyone must have seen Neverending Story. It's a great film, great family film. Watching it now, I can just pick up on some creepy bits. For example, Falcor is quite creepy. But no, it's a lovable film, always one of my favourites. It's just cherished right in my heart. I forgot that I watched the regular show movie, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 stars. I kind of saw it twice, and it kind of turned out that in a way I did watch all of it, because when I went out of the room for the first time, the second time it was showing, I kind of started at the bits that I had left off, if that makes sense. So that was kind of funny how that worked out in my favour. But basically, obviously it's using the characters from Cartoon Network's The Regular Show TV series, and this is kind of centred around time travel and Rigby and Mordecai going back into the past, which they have done a few times in the TV show, so I mean it's nothing exceptionally different, but it was still very fun. I really did enjoy it. I think things could have been done better, but they kept the humour, they kept the lovable characters. Just generally, it was a really good film. And lastly, I watched The World's End again, and I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. I was actually doing work at my friend's room, and quite a few of us were in there, and that was on in the background, so I didn't technically watch it, but I mean, thought I'd add it in there anyway because it's a good film. So it's basically like 5 friends are trying to get back together again to complete the pub crawl that they never finished and try to end at the world's end. And I'm going to be blatantly honest, it goes batshit insane very quickly. Things start to get crazy, out of control, confusing, but it is an amazingly funny film, an amazingly awesome film, and it's just everything. It's everything. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars for that, and that concludes my November film wrap up. What did you watch in November? Have you watched any of the films that I've watched, either in November or in the past, or would you like to? Just let me know, and yes, have yourself a very good evening and day and night and morning and all those lovely other times of days. Have a great one. So speak to you next time. Bye.